Caitlin Clark was just assaulted. Bad. This is the worst one ever, bro. She was literally poked in the eye, then pushed to the ground by Marina Mabrey.
Enough is enough.
What is going on? This was bullshit, bro. This league is a fucking joke.
You allow them to play physical, and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right?
She was just bringing the ball up. Calm, focused, doing what she always does. Lead. Then out of nowhere, boom, a scratch straight to the eye.
This league is out of control. We're talking about the WNBA, WWE Raw Circus.
WNBA is a freaking joke.
WNBA, y'all need to get this under control. This is ridiculous.
A non-basketball play getting shoved to the ground, and it's just a technical foul.
Seconds later, bam, slammed to the floor like she wasn't even a player, but a target. Caitlin Clark didn't see it coming, and that's exactly what made it worse. No call, no protection, just silence. Marina Mabrey and Jacy Sheldon didn't just defend, they attacked.
These effing reps, this effing league.
The referee does nothing. She does nothing.
This is Jacy Sheldon right here with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it. So many of these incidents are happening towards Indiana Fever players, particularly Caitlin Clark.
And somehow the one punished was Caitlin herself. What kind of message does that send? What kind of league lets this happen over and over again? If you thought the hate was subtle before, tonight made it undeniable. The WNBA isn't just letting it happen, they're enabling it.
Jacy Sheldon scratched her in the eye. Like, she literally, you can see it here. She's just clawed her.
You allow them to play physical, and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right?
After everything that had already unfolded, the eye gouge, the shove, the silence, Caitlin Clark had every reason to shut down, to hang her head, to disappear into the background like they clearly wanted her to. But that's not who she is. That's never been who she is.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
Caitlin Clark is undeniably the offensive engine.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura.
She wiped her face, tightened her ponytail, and came back with fire in her eyes. With boos still echoing through the arena, with fans stunned by the lack of accountability, Caitlin took the inbound and slowly brought the ball up the floor. You could see it in her face.
Jacy Sheldon right here, she's going to give Caitlin Clark the Dejanay Carrington eye gouge. And then Marina Mabrey's going to come in like some thug off the street and pull a Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark. There's the eye gouge, okay? And there's Mabrey right there with the hip check, the shove. That's the eye gouge. And then right there, good God almighty.
Marina Mabrey basically just did what Kennedy Carter did on a whole nother level.
This wasn't just another possession. This was a response. She crossed half court, looked her defender square in the eye, and launched a deep, cold-blooded three from way beyond the arc.
This is Caitlin Clark. She's going to hit a big three, and you can tell the emotions are high. The Indiana Fever announcers, I will give them credit. That incident with Sophie Cunningham is a direct byproduct of the fact that situation earlier was not handled correctly. It goes to talking shit towards the Connecticut Sun bench. That was a clear message from CC22 right there. This team's had enough.
Splash. And then she turned to the Connecticut Sun bench, the same bench that had watched her get slammed and scratched without a word. And she yelled, face full of fury, "You like that?" It wasn't just a celebration. It was defiance.
Jacy Sheldon claws her in the eye, then the two of them get into it, and then Mabrey just goes and shoves her onto the ground.
Marina Mabrey, this is ridiculous.
A challenge to the league, to the refs, to every player who thought they could break her with cheap shots and silence. They wanted her quiet. She gave them volume. That moment, that three-pointer, was bigger than a bucket. It was the line in the sand. It was Caitlin Clark showing she's not just here to survive, she's here to own the court.
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
No matter how many try to knock her down, the crowd went insane. Social media exploded. The league might have turned its back, but the fans, they showed up louder than ever, because this wasn't just a basketball game anymore. It had become a battle for respect, for fairness.
Jacy Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
And Caitlin Clark didn't beg for it. She demanded it. With that shot, she told the world, I'm not going anywhere. You can foul me, target me, try to bury me, but I'll still be here, lighting it up and leading louder than ever. That wasn't just a highlight. It was a warning. From the opening tip, you could feel something was off. Jacy Sheldon wasn't just guarding Caitlin Clark, she was hunting her.
Mind you, Jacy Sheldon has been hitting Caitlin in the face all game, fouling all game. The refs don't care. The refs act like their whistles are broke. She's fouling her nonstop again, hits her in the face.
She just got clawed in the face and then knocked on her ass. Like, you have to eject her. If you want to give Caitlin Clark a technical foul.
Every possession was full court pressure, arm grabbing, face guarding, and intentional contact. It was clear this wasn't just basketball, it was personal. Sheldon clawed at Clark's shoulder, reached across her body, and then delivered the blow that turned the game on its head, a full swipe directly to the eye.
There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete and they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competitions.
Clark winced, grabbed her face, stumbled back, but no whistle, no flagrant, no ejection, nothing.
The refs don't call nothing. She been hit in the face 8-9 times before this.
Jacy Sheldon has to be ejected. If Jacy Sheldon intentionally scratches somebody in the eye, there's no question about that. That is intentional. If you want to call Mabrey's a flagrant one, call it a flagrant one. Mabrey's should have been a flagrant two. But Jacy Sheldon's is, no question about it, ejection and suspension.
And before Clark could even regain her footing, Marina Mabrey came flying in like a linebacker on a blindside blitz. Hip first, full speed, boom. Caitlin hit the floor hard, no play on the ball, no competitive movement.
Marina Mabrey exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no flop there. Marina Mabrey did a straight beeline run to Caitlin Clark and checked her. You got Lexi Hull saying, Jacy, what the hell is wrong with you? This was all game, folks. All game. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were getting checked. All game. The Indiana Fever were getting punked. All game. The referees let this physical style of basketball continue and continue and continue.
Just raw aggression. Right there in front of everyone. The cameras, the fans, the referees. And still, the officials stood frozen. After all that, all Clark received was a technical foul. Let that sink in. The one clawed in the eye.
After 15 minutes of deliberating, that's what you call 3 techs and a flagrant 1? That's it?
Referees need to do their jobs. Blow the whistle and officiate properly. Hand out flagrants, kick people out of games, but continuously we see Caitlin Clark on the receiving end of something and it's not called correctly.
The one slammed to the floor. She was the one punished. The fans were stunned. Commentators couldn't believe it. Players on the floor looked confused. And yet the referees took nearly 15 minutes reviewing the footage only to issue a flagrant one to Sheldon, a technical to Mabrey, and, somehow, a technical to Caitlin Clark.
The referees are going to review the play. So the 3 referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora, because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes.
It was beyond outrageous. It was a public confirmation of what many have been whispering for weeks. The league has a problem with Caitlin Clark, because this wasn't an isolated moment. This had been brewing all game. Sheldon had been bumping her, talking trash, and fouling her nonstop without consequence.
Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And Jacy Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
The refs had swallowed their whistles again and again. Clark wasn't being defended. She was being targeted. And it wasn't just Sheldon. Tina Charles got in her face. Mabrey body-checked her like it was Sunday football. And the WNBA, the people who claimed to protect the players, they stood by and did nothing. What made it worse is that everyone knew this was coming. It's been happening game after game.
See Sheldon guarding up, playing pretty good defense. This is what I was going to give her credit on. She was not allowing Caitlin to penetrate, get into the paint, deny her the path to the basket, right? Boom, she bumps. Caitlin drives around. Look, good footwork. Okay, you stand in front of her. I give it to you. Boom, bumps again, spin around. Boom, she's bumping, getting bumpy. And then that happened. I'm like, what was that? What is this play right here, man? Sheldon, what is this right here, fam? No way you just reach for Caitlin's eyes like that, her face, whatever the case may be. You reach for her head and you scratch her.
Angel Reese, Kennedy Carter, now Sheldon and Mabrey, one after another, taking turns trying to knock down the league's biggest star, while the officials either look the other way or, worse, penalize Clark for daring to stand up for herself.
There should be a flagrant 1, of course, on Jacy Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant call foul.
And when she did, when she gave Sheldon a little shove to say, back off, it was Clark who caught the tech. Not the eye gouge, not the body slam, Caitlin. That moment, those back-to-back attacks weren't just physical, they were symbolic. A message to Clark that the league isn't protecting her, that she's on her own, and that her popularity, her stardom, her impact, it doesn't buy her safety, it paints a target on her back.
I said earlier, Caitlin should just literally go overseas. There's a couple places overseas where they would pay her probably $2 or $3 million, maybe $5 million a year.
But here's where everything changed, not just for Caitlin Clark, but for the Indiana Fever as a whole. Because after the eye gouge and the blindside slam, after the refs turned their backs and the league stayed silent, something snapped, not in Clark, but in her team. Sophie Cunningham had seen enough. Late in the game, with emotions boiling and tension thick in the air, Jacy Sheldon once again tried to crash into Clark on a fast break. Only this time, Sophie was waiting. With no hesitation, no doubt, and zero tolerance left, Cunningham stepped into Sheldon's path, wrapped her up mid-drive, and drove her straight to the floor.
Sophie Cunningham steps up, grabs her, knocks her down, gives a flagrant 2 for this, they end up calling.
Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose.
It was deliberate, it was forceful, and it was loud. The arena exploded. The message was simple. You touch Caitlin again, you deal with us. Immediately, 2 Sun players charged at Sophie, getting in her face, pushing, barking, trying to escalate it. But Sophie didn't flinch. She stood her ground, arms up, face steady, 2-on-1 under the basket, and she didn't back up an inch. She didn't swing, didn't yell. She owned the moment.
And it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when they got to get control of it, they got to be better. They got to be better. Every year when we have our league meetings in the fall and in the spring, we say the same thing over and over and over. And nothing has changed.
And for the first time this season, someone on Caitlin Clark's team didn't just talk about protection, they delivered it. Of course, the league responded the only way they seemed to know how, by punishing the one who stood up. Cunningham was hit with a flagrant 2 and ejected, but she walked off like a hero. Fans cheered, teammates clapped her out, and Clark, visibly emotional, had finally seen someone go to war for her. That single act sparked a wave. Lexi Hull got fired up. Nalissa Smith turned up the intensity. Even Caitlin herself played with more edge, more purpose.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
The Fever, who had been criticized all season for leaving their star exposed, were no longer passive. They were fighting back. And through it all, after being scratched, shoved, disrespected, and called for a technical, Caitlin Clark stayed locked in. She didn't whine. She didn't wilt. She responded the only way she knows how, by torching the net.
This is Caitlin Clark. She's going to hit a big 3, and you can tell the emotions are high. The Indiana Fever announcers, I will give them credit. That incident with Sophie Cunningham is a direct byproduct of the fact that situation earlier was not handled correctly. It goes to talking shit towards the Connecticut Sun bench. That was a clear message from CC22 right there. This team's had enough.
Minutes after Sophie's ejection, Clark hit another deep 3, turned toward the Sun bench, and screamed, "You like that?" Her fire lit up the whole building. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. This was about respect.
Payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure Jacy. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it.
So if not for nothing, she ended up with 20 points. She had a really good game. But you know what? I credit Jacy Sheldon for showing how to guard her.
And finally, the Indiana Fever showed they weren't just going to play, they were going to fight for their star, for their pride, for the future. They tried to break her, but Caitlin Clark sent the message loud and clear. She's not backing down. The league might ignore it, but fans won't. This fight isn't over.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
She is just absolutely undeniable.
Caitlin Clark was just different.
Caitlin Clark is the system.
Caitlin Clark is
generational talent we've needed.
She is the system.
Caitlin Clark is an absolute all-star. She is the Michael Jordan of this. This is the girl that girls have been waiting for forever.
The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
Like, subscribe for more updates about WNBA. Thanks for watching.